Hello. Thank you for joining today's training related to your role as a local church lay leader. I'm John Crane, and I have the privilege of being the conference lay leader. I'm excited to share information with you today, and I'd like to welcome my co-facilitators, Hank Dozier, who serves as our Metro District lay leader, and Penny Ledbetter, who serves as the Appalachian District lay leader. Together, we're going to share some basic information about your role and try to share with you information that will help you serve more effectively in your church. We'll start by talking about your role and then go through some specific examples of how you, as the local church lay leader, can serve effectively and wrap up then with sharing some helpful resources. So let's start by talking about your role as the local church lay leader. You've been asked to serve. Okay, so now what? Well, first, congratulations. Your selection to serve as the local church lay leader means that your church finds you to be someone who is respected by both the pastor and by members of your congregation, and as someone who is knowledgeable about your church, who can be trusted to provide wise counsel, and who has relationships and the wisdom to effectively represent the voice of the laity in your church. Now, the specific duties of a local church lay leader are available and outlined in our Book of Discipline under paragraph 251. If you don't have a copy of the Book of Discipline, we encourage you to get one. It's also available free as a resource through Cokesbury online, and your pastor also has a copy of the Book of Discipline that you can borrow if necessary. But when we think about the role of the lay leader, there's three areas that we particularly like to highlight. First, as the lay leader, you're the primary representative of the laity in your church. You're a key leader in helping to build an understanding and appreciation for the role of laity in the life and ministry of the church. And you're someone who models for the congregation the spiritual disciplines that we adopt in our baptismal covenants, such as supporting the church through our prayer, our presence, our gifts, our service, and our witness. As the local church lay leader, there are three ways in which you can be particularly helpful in serving your church. Those are partnering effectively with your pastor and other church leaders in defining and communicating, implementing the church's mission and vision, connecting your congregation to our broader United Methodist connectional system, and celebrating and encouraging the ministry of the laity in all the ways laity serve, both in the church and beyond. To dig a little deeper into each one of these areas, I'm going to ask Penny and Hank to help share some specific information. And we'll start with Penny as she shares with you how you can effectively be a strong partner in the ministries of your church. Penny?
Thank you, John. Yes, definitely being a partner, which really goes with being the connectivity of the United Methodist Church. You can't be a partner if you're not willing to connect. So how can you partner effectively, as we have shared before? Well, let's look at this. There are two primary ways. There's lots of ways, but these are these two that we're going to focus on right this minute. One is your relationship with your pastor, making sure you have a strong relationship with him or her, and then serving as a key resource on various committees and ministry teams that are involved in your church. First, you want to engage your clergy in creating a lay leader pastor partnership covenant. Now, the things we have here are just some of the things you might think about. So once you meet with your pastor and you talk about it together, you may come up with some other things you would like to add to your covenant, which is really your relationship and how you plan to work together and support each other. First, you might consider agreeing to pray for each other and for the church. You might also want to think about how does your pastor want you to provide him or her with the appropriate feedback relating to congregational matters. I mean, you may find yourself at a lunch or um, another event that the church sponsors, and you're become involved in a conversation from the congregation where they see that maybe they would like to have a Bible study, or maybe they would like to have a mission trip sponsored. Then you can go back to the pastor and maybe share those things or those positive ideas with him or her, and see how that could be developed through your church council and the appropriate ministry team. You want to clarify your role expectations to go beyond what is outlined in the Book of Discipline. Your pastor from the previous church where they served, may have had a lay leader that did a particular job or responsibility in the church. And maybe when your new pastor arrived at your church, they automatically expected the new lay leader at this church to do the same thing. And maybe that's a little bit of might create a little bit of a disconnect. So you want to talk about that together and make sure you're on target together with that. And you want to define a regular meeting approach, time and frequency. Do you want to meet for coffee once a week? Do you want to go to lunch once a month? Or once a week? That sounds great. You'll get a lunch together. But that's something you'll have to talk about and see what works best for you and your schedules. And then how do you want to receive your communication? All of us do not communicate the same way. So, would you rather get an email? Would you rather just get a short text to call me later? How do you want to communicate together and what works best for both of you? And then again, you want to talk about the key focus areas for your church ministries, where your shared leadership will be most needed. You want to spend your energy there. Not that there are other things, you can't do everything for everybody and you can't be everywhere. So you have to really stay focused on those and help support your church on those ministries. Then you're looking at the different committees, and don't get frustrated about this. When I was a lay leader in my church, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to be on all these different committees. And that could be a daunting thing. But you will find that this really helps you stay connected and understand the whole workings of the church and be a more effective lay leader. So you will be on the charge conference and the church council where you'll have a voice and a vote. You'll serve on the Staff Parish Relations Committee, which is important again because they deal with the pastor and other staff members. And so making sure the pastor is taken care of and supported. And so this way you can be an encourager in that direction. You want to definitely be a part of the Finance Committee, because if you're helping to promote the mission of your church, you definitely may need some finances to help do that. And how can you share that with the Finance Committee? And then on the Committee of Nominations and Leadership Development, as you visit with members of your church and you have conversations and you interact, you'll begin to see where different members' leadership and spiritual gifts are honed in and where they're forming, and where you can maybe nominate someone for a particular position based on what you've learned about them and their particular skill set. And you also want to continue to be sure you help with the leadership development by sharing and encouraging your laity to take classes and become involved and learn more about the United Methodist Church and how they can serve. And how do you add value? Well, we all want to make sure that we feel like what we're doing is important and it is valuable because we're spending our time and our talents doing that. So how do we do that? Well, we help to promote an integrated view of the church's ministries. We assist in helping the church council identify and understand the needs of the church and the community. Again, by being a good listener and interacting with other church members and the community, you can help certainly do that. As far as the Staff Parish Relations Committee goes, you bring the focus on the church mission, and in partnership with the SPRC chairperson, you help provide an understanding of the financial needs as related to staffing. What does your church need? Do you need, does your administrative assistant need an assistant? Does he or she need more hours? Do you need a youth minister? Do you need an associate pastor? What does your church need to make sure they can do or complete the mission of God in the community? You want to encourage the pastor in pursuing health, wholeness, and work-life balance. and help the congregation understand the importance of these things to the ministry of the church. All of us need downtime, and all of us need time to refuel. Your pastor is no different. He or she is not a 24/7 individual. None of us can operate like that for a very long and be effective about it. So we want the Holy Spirit to be able to enter into our pastor's life, and to do that, they need that quiet time and that refreshing time to rebuild and reboot. And as far as the finance section, how do you add value? Well, you model an attitude of generosity and help to find creative ways to connect generosity with the church mission. You also bring a focus on the church mission in partnership with the SPRC chairperson and help provide an understanding of the finance needs related to staffing. Again, all this, if you're looking or paying attention here, and I know you are, you're beginning to see how this is all overlapping and flowing together. And so it's not like just one thing and then another thing. It's all connected and going together. And then on the nominations and leadership development, it says, understand the leadership skills and spiritual gifts needed for various ministry roles in the church. And I alluded to this just a minute ago when I talked about how when you're talking to your church members and observing them and working with them on different committees, you can see where their spiritual gifts are and help guide them to hone in on those skills and to further the training of those skills. Your ministry context, you also may be asked to fulfill additional responsibilities based on your local church's needs, traditions, and organization model. Every church is not the same, so it'll depend on your location. Duties might also include worship leadership, serving as lay member to annual conference, and serving on other ministry teams. And then you want to continue to talk to your pastor about any expectations that he or she may have, and make sure you have a clear role of what you're going to be doing in your church.
Wonderful. Thank you, Penny. We appreciate you covering that information for us. And now we're going to turn it over to Hank, who's going to share some of the ways that, as a local church lay leader, you can help be a connector.
Thanks, John. How do you build connections? First of all, let's look at our district lay leader, who can be a very valuable partner for you. If you don't know who your district lay leader is, you can check on the district or the conference website, and that information will be available to you. Then you can subscribe to your district email newsletter and a conference email. You'll see the link listed on the slide that you're reviewing. Share with your congregation information about your district and conference training and encourage them to participate. It is very important that we encourage not only other outside the church, but in our church as well, because that's very important. Encourage members to consider lay servant ministry training, which focuses on leading, serving, and communicating. All those three areas are very important for the life of the church. That lay leaders are encouraged to become certified lay servants. Reach out to other churches in your area to build relationship with their lay leaders. In other words, visit other churches and see what's happening there and get ideas from different lay leaders. You'll be surprised at what you can find out. Share your ideas and resources. Some of the resources that you might think of is it's very important that you connect with your United Methodist Men and United Women of Faith to share ideas and how you can share ministry together. Discuss opportunities for shared ministry in your community. Your community is very important to you. If you look around, there are apartments, there are new housing. It's important that we engage in relationship with those folks. As well as on your own church, you've got food banks, and be welcoming to those who come to your food bank and offer opportunities to be a part of our churches. Educate your congregation of how their apportionments are used at the district, conference, global levels to further God's kingdom. I don't know about you, but oftentimes in our local churches, folks, we miss the opportunity to educate our folks what their dollars are going for. And it's very important. Once they see that, they'll understand that we're furthering God's kingdom. Encourage your church to recognize the 6 special Sundays for giving. One is Human Relations Sunday, which is in January. Native American Ministry Sundays, which is in April. Core Sundays, March. Peace with Justice Ministries, which is on a Sunday in May. Royal Communion Sunday, which is in October, and the United Methodist Student Day, which is in November. So as you can see, the church is full of opportunities for us to share and to lift up those areas that I just previously mentioned. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Hank. For our final section here, we want to talk with you about being an encourager. As the local church lay leader, one of the things that you can best help your church do is making sure that you're recognizing and connecting your church to various laity events and celebrating the life and ministries of the laity in your church. You can do that through observing laity-focused Sundays, such as United Women of Faith Sunday, United Methodist Men Sunday, maybe a Youth Sunday, and importantly, our Laity Sunday. Now, Laity Sunday is always held across United Methodism on the third Sunday in October. But if that particular Sunday doesn't work in the life of your church because of other priorities that you have for the month of October, feel free to pick a different Sunday when you can recognize and celebrate laity for all they do through your church. Another way you can do that is by participating in our conference-wide Laity Service Award. This is an opportunity for you to identify someone in your church, an individual or perhaps a couple who are in ministry together, and celebrate them in front of the congregation for the ways that they serve. Many churches do this and often find a way or doing it as a way to highlight those individuals who are behind the scenes, and you may not see them in front of the church leading particular teams or ministries, but they're always there. Then their support is crucial. Finally, celebrate those who do complete lay servant ministry training. As folks are taking the classes, you can then recognize them in a worship service or in some other kind of appropriate event at your church to thank them for their dedication in pursuing the training and to help others see themselves as possible participants in our lay servant ministry training. We also encourage you as a local church lay leader to think about ways that you can work with your pastor and other leaders to provide spiritual gifts training for your congregation. This is an important tool that helps you understand and helps you understand as a local church lay leader how individuals are gifted to serve, and helps the individuals who participate in the class understand how they would like to serve in the church. We also suggest encouraging members to share their ideas. Sometimes individuals have ideas, but they're just hesitant to speak up about them. Being someone who is intentional about engaging a wide variety of stakeholders in the church can be a powerful way to make sure that you're getting new ideas for ministry and helping to build excitement for the ministries of your church. And another way to do that is to help tell your stories. Hank talks about these as being our glory stories, ways that our churches are really serving the community, serving each other as a congregation through nurture and care, and really beginning to highlight the ways, not just that we are doing things, but what's happening as a result of those things being done. If you have a church newsletter or social media sites, encourage your church staff and your pastor to help promote those things in those areas. And again, try to focus not just on here is what happened or here's what took place, but what was the transformation that is taking place through that event. Now, as we wrap up our time with you, we want to just highlight a few helpful resources for you. First, we mentioned our district lay leaders. You see on the screen now the list of the district lay leaders that are currently serving. You are welcome to reach out to these individuals anytime. As Hank said, you can find their information, their contact information, either through your district office, or you can go to the website shown on the screen where we list the individuals of our Board of Laity. All of our district lay leaders are members of the Board of Laity, so you can get their email addresses there as well. There's also information through Cokesbury that you may find helpful. One is a resource called the Lay Leader and Lay Member Guidelines. This is a small book that you can purchase either as a PDF or you can have it in a hard copy. It's relatively inexpensive, and it outlines all of the specific duties of lay leaders and those in your church who are chosen to be the lay member to annual conference. We also mentioned access to a book of discipline, and you see there a link to an online version of the book of discipline that is made free and available through Cokesbury. We encourage you also to spend time regularly on the conference website. We have wonderful communication partners there who try to make sure that it is updated very frequently with information about all that's going on in the conference and in our districts and in the broader United Methodist connection. So do visit the website frequently. Be sure to tap into the various resources that are listed there. And if you have any questions about what you're seeing there, please reach out to your district office or work with your pastor. And then finally, umcgiving.org is a great resource site for you to learn more about our apportionments and special Sundays. They have leader kits available, they have communication tools available, and there's a lot of great information there that can help you help others understand more about our connectional system and connectional giving. Thank you so much for being part of this training today. We hope that this information has been helpful, and we look forward to working with you to further the mission of the Western North Carolina Conference to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. Thank you.